first master idea that we have to realize is that we were made for happiness. God made us to be happy. But in order to be happy, we have to satisfy the higher part of our being, namely our intellect and our will. We strive for perfect truth and perfect love, which is God. So the master idea is what's in the Baltimore Catechism: to know, love, and serve God. If our minds are occupied with that, like we hear so many times, we will be happy. Bishop Sheen says, no one who loves this master idea is ever unhappy, even amid the trials and tribulations of life. Listen to this. Energy, when this is your ideal, to know, love, and serve God every day, energy multiplies to achieve it. In other words, we don't lose energy. Energy is built upon energy, and it magnifies itself. And it is multiplied by goodness to neighbors, patience, charity, meekness, resignation, and some of the other virtues that have long been forgotten. He also says that life becomes full of zeal. And even though sometimes we may do wrong, we can get back because we have the map. The map back is that ideal, to know, love, and serve God. Bishop Sheen says there are two classes of people: those who fall down and those who stay down. A pig falls in the mud and stays in the mud. A lamb falls in the mud and gets out of the mud. Strong reasons make strong actions. Jim Rohn said, when the why is big, the how is easy. When the why is big, why are we doing it? When that's strong, all the things we have to do become easy. To occupy yourself with love of God and neighbor is never to be idle. Listen to this. This statement here really made me think. Hell is full of talented people, but heaven is full of energetic people. Hell is full of talented people, but heaven is full of energetic people. As sanctity declines, as our holiness goes down, prayer life goes down, union with God goes down, energy declines. Many today do not believe enough to be great, and mediocrity is the penalty for loss of faith. Mediocrity is the penalty when we lose our faith. Number two, the first one is to have a strong idea, an ideal, an apostolic ideal. Number two is to strengthen the will. There are three things we have to do to have energy and to get energy back if we've lost it. Number two is to strengthen the will. And Bishop Sheen, and this was written in the 70s, he said, hardly ever today does an educator speak of training the will. St. Teresa of Avila said that she had a program of self-denial. In other words, it was planned, it was organized, it was every day, it was reviewed, she looked at whether she was doing it. In other words, it was a primary thing in her life to mortify herself, to strengthen her will. Some of you have heard of CAFA, which is a men's group. Raylan was in it for a while. And I saw the guy that runs it give a talk. And he said what they do in his house is they build the iron will. He makes them eat food they don't like. He makes them do things they don't like. But he explains to them why. And it builds the will. A little boy asked his mother, "May I have another piece of cake?" And she said, "You've already had 8 pieces." "Oh, Mama, please, 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 I want another piece of cake." "All right, get another piece of cake." And the little boy says, "Boy, you don't have any willpower at all." There's a world of difference between willing and wanting. There's a difference between willing and wanting. Most people want to be good, but they do not will to be good. The will is a decision, and it's firm. You remember the pastor that gave the talk on determination? He said his dad was like an iron rod buried in the frozen ground, immovable. You couldn't move him. Matt Terrio gave a talk last week, and he mentioned his grandfather, who was the only one in the family that would verbally chastise people and tell them things when they need to be told. And he had a cousin or a brother who was living an immoral lifestyle. I'm not going to get children here, I'm not going to say what he was doing. And every time that boy walked in the house, Matt's grandfather jumped on him and told him something. He said, when my grandfather died, the family went off. There was nobody. He said his stance on morality affected our behavior when we weren't even around him. How rare is that today? If people are told they are animals or machines, they lose the sense of inner power to improve themselves. We all have the power to improve ourselves, but do we will it? There's a difference between wishing and wanting, I want that, and willing it. I'm going to do it. My dad is a wanter. When he makes up his mind, just get out the way. He had a stroke in 01 and he's still like that. He will go into the courtroom. He has no short-term memory. He can't remember. If I told him somebody's name, 10 minutes later he can't remember that person's name. He will still go into the courtroom and take over that room. I was in court with him one day. The judge is sitting on his stand. My father walked in there, and it was a divorce case. I don't know why. I don't remember why I was sitting. It was many years ago. And I watched my dad take over that room. And the judge just sat back and watched him. My dad was kicking the furniture and throwing stuff because he told me, he said, that's what I do when the facts are not on my side. I make a lot of noise. You ever heard that? Lawyers say that. When the facts are on your side, you argue the facts. When you don't, throw the furniture around. Make a lot of... Listen to this. Character is like chiseling a statue. We're still on the will, strengthening the will. One has to knock off huge chunks of selfishness which requires self-discipline. Huge chunks. We got a lot of work to do on ourselves. Only then does character begin to emerge. We mistakenly believe that everything can be acquired without effort. It's like trying to learn French without studying language. We never receive, listen to this, we never receive our second wind until we use up the first from God. God does not give new graces until we exhaust ourselves in spending those already received. See how he deals with us? He's a tough taskmaster. You got to do what you have to do, then I'm going to help you again. The condition of receiving new power. Does anybody here want to receive power, energy, apostolic zeal? The condition is the resolute will to give power to others, to help others. Maybe our refusal to exercise our body could atrophy our muscles, and it does. Could the great increase of heart trouble be due to the fact that few exercise their hearts by exercise? I wonder, this is Bishop Sheen, I wonder if a ditch digger ever developed angina, which is chest pain. Power is bought only in terms of willed service. That means serving when you don't feel like it. Listen to this. Non-expression of the will in effort and self-discipline has caused more ravages than self-expression. So non-expression of our will and our determination to change causes more trouble for us than expressing ourselves. Number 3, the first is the master idea. The second is discipline the will. Number 3 is recourse to outside power. The exercise of the will is right. That's what we should do. We have to exercise our will, and it's tough. But it is wrong if we think we can do everything by our own will. We cannot lift ourselves by our bootstraps or by the lobes of our ears. Those who rely only on their will generally become aggressive, domineering, self-willed, dictatorial, and proud. Human will has to depend on something else. There has to be another source of power outside our will. Last paragraph. Our intellect and our will both need to cooperate with this power of God. Listen to this. Once the power of God gets into your intellect, it becomes faith. When it gets into your will, it becomes power. So, we have to establish commerce with God, back and forth with God, with the divine source of power by prayer and the sacraments. Unite a dedicated will with this divine energy, and a character is transformed into inner peace and outer service. So to sum all of that up, and I'm going to end with a poem by General Douglas MacArthur, but to sum it up of everything I've said, you have a man with self-confidence, a man with a master idea, a man who trains his will, and a man who has access to a power other than himself can change the world, can change his world. I read that there was a military general, he said the most powerful weapon on earth is the human soul on fire. That's the most powerful force on earth. This is a poem that General MacArthur had in a frame on his wall. And it's about growing old and getting tired. And he says, nobody grows old by merely living a number of years. People grow old only by deserting their ideals. Years wrinkle the skin, but to give up enthusiasm wrinkles the soul. Worry, doubt, self-distrust, fear, and despair. These are the quick equivalents of the long years that bow the head and turn the growing spirit to dust. Whether you're 70 or 16, there is in every being's heart the love of wonder, the sweet amazement of the stars, and the star-like things and thoughts, the undaunted challenge of events, the unfailing childlike appetite for what's next. Children want to know what's next. They're excited about what's next. You are as young as your faith. You are as old as your doubt. You are as young as your self-confidence, as old as your fear, as young as your hope, as old as your despair. So long as your heart receives messages of beauty, cheer, courage, grandeur, and power from the earth, from man and from the infinite, so long are you young. When all the wires are down, and all the central places of your heart are covered with the snow of pessimism and the ice of cynicism, then and only then are you grown old indeed. And may God have mercy on your soul. God bless you.